I just played the Donkey Kong Bonanza demo at my local Target, and not just played it, I probably played through the demo at least like 5 times. And you guys asked me a lot of questions about the demo, so I'm here to answer all of the questions that you have about the game and trying to answer everything that you have, because some of them might be a little hard because I only have like a little 15-minute session each time, but I'm gonna do my best. But also, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Over 400 of you subscribed the other day. We are trying to reach 400,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so you can make that happen. Let's see if we can get even more than 400 subs with today's video alone. Thank you so much. Leave a like and subscribe, and let's jump into your questions for Donkey Kong Bonanza. Also, if you see me rushing to this first area, it's just simply because it's the opening of the game and there wasn't a whole bunch to do there besides kind of show you the controls and you to collect a bunch of gold, so I wanted to rush to the main area first. That's why I'm rushing to this first area so quickly. Demozy Jake asks, do the banana gems act like the moons in Mario Odyssey? So do you need a certain amount before going to the next level? This is a pretty good question because in Super Mario Odyssey, obviously you need a certain amount to power up the ship in order to fly to the next world. This doesn't seem to be the case, at least from what I've played so far, at least to get to other sub-levels. For instance, there's like these giant void plugs that are plugging the ground. There's like 2 different ones in the first sub-level, and honestly, you could pick either one, the top one or the bottom one, and you could just blast down to the bottom. Now, they're extremely easy. Like, for instance, all I had to do was destroy a crocoid or like sing to remove some tape, so I highly doubt that's all you're going to have to do in order to complete an entire world. Now, I would assume there would be like a boss gate or something at the end of each sub-level where you can't move on until you collect a certain amount of Banandium gems from each sub-layer of that sub-level, so probably not able to move on to the next world until you get a certain amount. But as far as sub-levels go, like, you can just keep going down, down, down as far as it looks like you can. I can't tell because we were only allowed to play on one certain sub-level in the demo. J-Man wants to know if there were any frame dips, and yes, I had noticed a couple. Some areas seem to get really crowded very quickly, and I've noticed some in Mario Kart World as well, where some areas like Peach's Castle in certain parts just felt very overwhelmed with the graphics or something because it was like really chugging. I noticed a couple areas in Donkey Kong Bonanza. It wasn't anything like, you know, annoying to the point where I wasn't enjoying my game or something, but they were there, which is a little strange. I don't know. I just guess with a brand new, you know, hardware and as powerful as the Switch 2 is supposed to be, I definitely expected it to, you know, not have any, especially with something, you know, as cartoonish as Donkey Kong Bonanza or something along those lines. But I don't know what goes into the background of this. You know, obviously for a game where you're destroying chunks of an earth and, you know, destroying the entire terrain itself, I'm sure there's a, you know, big reason why it's not absolutely perfect. But still, yeah, I noticed some drops. More Buffer Version asks if there are any bosses within this demo, and no, I don't think you can play any, considering the fact that you get a small tutorial area in the beginning and then just the first sub-level of this next world. So yeah, you can't really do anything with a boss or anything even remotely close to it. There's a lot of bonus rooms and stuff with some bigger enemies, but no bosses. Candy Baby states, will the DK Rap have a cameo? Well, we actually know from the Nintendo Direct that was focused on this game that the DK Rap is back.
You might even find new discs when defeating enemies. When it comes to moving between layers,
Subterian Fury asked 2 questions. Is it Game of the Year material? And did I think it was the Odyssey team that made this game? I'll start off with the Odyssey team one. Yes, it just bleeds Odyssey. I mean, every single thing feels like Odyssey in this game. The movement, the characters, the art design, everything. It literally has to be made by the Odyssey team, because if it's not, I would be extremely confused as to who else would be making this game and how they took nothing but inspiration from the Odyssey team. It feels like an Odyssey sequel, or maybe even in this game, technically a prequel. But also, yeah, I think it's definitely Nintendo's Game of the Year contender for sure. It's going to be that big game to run Game of the Year, because, you know, it could be Metroid Prime 4. I definitely don't think it's going to be Mario Kart. I don't know what else it could be, because this game, this is pure love from Nintendo poured out into it. I mean, every second I playing this game, I just kept checking the time on my phone and seeing, you know, am I about to run out of time? Because there's just so much this game has to offer. It's seriously addicting, and to me, it's definitely that one Game of the Year game for sure. Spike Brawl asks, approximately how many worlds do I think that there were in total? It's hard to tell. Once again, there's no information with this within the demo, but from what I've seen from the gameplay and from the directs and stuff that I can count up, I counted around 6 or 7 distinct different worlds. It's hard to tell sometimes because some of those sub-layers, the deeper you get in each world, can look vastly different than the first sub-layer of that world, so it makes it look like it's a different world altogether, so it's kind of hard, but I'm guessing it's probably going to end with like 6, 7, or 8, so it's about 6 to 8 worlds. Once Random One asks, is the game Newbie Friendly? Yes, absolutely. And that might actually go along with another question I've seen in here that I'll get to later. But the game is pretty easy. I mean, from what I've played so far, you don't really have to have a good grasp of any of the mechanics. You can just mash dig and just punch through certain walls or just climb around obstacles and just get to the very end of that sub-layer. I think only thing that would be difficult for a newbie is just getting those controls down. But, I mean, I'm not a newbie. I play pretty much all Nintendo series, and I felt like these controls were kind of, you know, hard to get a hold of very quickly. I had my little brother play as well, and he immediately said the same thing. He's like, man, these controls are a little wonky. So, you know, you just got to get used to them, and I still think it's newbie friendly. You don't have to do all the roll jumps and stuff and all the technique fighting stuff. You just pretty much can just pick up things, throw them, and just punch your way to the end. So, yeah, I do think younger players are going to be able to just blast through this game and, you know, still have a blast, but also older players, you know, some of those challenge rooms and some of the techniques of fighting some of the enemies are going to be pretty difficult, even from the very beginning of the game. Halfstein asks, did I meet the Elder or did I just have the Kong Bonanza? They just give you the Kong Bonanza and Pauline in that second world for the demo. I'm sure the Elder is down a little bit further, but no, I did not meet the Elder, and they wouldn't let me go down to a lower sub layer. But yeah, they just gave me Kong Bonanza, and I feel like there wasn't even much of a cooldown either. I hope that's not the final game, because I feel like I could use it pretty much whenever I wanted to, but yeah, they just give it to you. Jessica asked, are there any other enemies that didn't show up in the direct? Not really. I mean, all the enemies we've seen from the very, you know, beginning of the game and stuff, and I mean, it's stuff that we also saw from Nintendo Treehouse. The Buzzoids that throw rocks at you, you catch them and throw them back. You had little enemies that would try to cling to Donkey Kong, you had to shake them off or punch them off. I mean, this is stuff that we've seen in various different games like Jungle Beat, Galaxy, even Odyssey, so, I mean, nothing really new. More Crocoids, of course, which are the skeletal alligators that are stuck within debris, which has to be Kremlings in some capacity, but yeah, stuff like that. Sam asks, do I think that Nintendo is hiding something big, like a big reveal for the end of the game? Probably, of course. I just, like, why wouldn't they? I'd be very surprised if there wasn't some type of big secret reveal. I still think it's going to be King K. Rool and the Kremlings, which may not sound like a secret since we're all kind of expecting it, but, I mean, it would just be such a huge deal for the Donkey Kong fan base, as we wanted to see King K. Rool return in a main game for so long now. I mean, literally, it's been since Donkey Kong 64, so, yeah, he's been in spin-offs like King of Swing and Jungle Climber, even Mario Sluggers, and even, you know, Smash Ultimate, but still, I would love to see King K. Rool in another modern mainline Donkey Kong game, and this would be a perfect return for him. So I'm hoping there is a secret. You know, there's no way of knowing until, you know, the game comes out and we play through it. Hopefully people don't spoil, you know, pictures of the final boss or end of the game and thumbnails, so yeah, don't have to worry about that here. Okay, here's a pretty long comment from Perceptive Abyss that wants to know about the difficulty and comparing it to Odyssey's first 2 worlds, Odyssey's bonus rooms, and kind of how it fares in terms of that difficulty. Okay, so it's hard to compare this game to Odyssey's first 2 worlds. I do think Ingot Isle is very similar to the Cap Kingdom, where you're just kind of learning the basics of the game, kind of trying to get to the end and make your way to the next area. And this does feel like the Fossil Falls of this game for sure, this area that you're watching now, which is the second one we were able to play, where there's more things to do. Obviously, it's a lot bigger than Fossil Falls. I feel like it's more expansive than Fossil Falls, but yeah, it does seem very easy so far. Now, let me tell you, I'm only on the first sub-layer of what seem to be multiple for each sub-level. So don't take this as, oh, the game's too easy. You know, this is the very first sub-layer of this entire world that we're on, of this first big entire world. So it's hard to say right now, but from what I played, it's very easy. Yes, there doesn't seem to be too many enemies in the overworld. You're kind of just busting through, trying to get to the end. I don't know what it requires for you to get to each new world, and if there's going to be more, you know, specific missions for you to do and, you know, force you to fight more enemies, but from right now, the Banandium gems are a lot more difficult to get to and to actually complete, and they feel more rewarding, like you're actually doing challenges to get them, but the game overall does feel pretty easy outside of the bonus rooms, which can get a little difficult even this early in the game. Adrenaline Music Video states, can you interact with all/most of the NPCs? Yes, every NPC you can run into, you can even give them high fives, you can like do little spins and dances in front of them and they'll react. It's actually pretty funny. They all seem to be interactable, which is pretty cool because it's definitely a big step up from Mario Kart World. I promise you I don't hate Mario Kart World, it just has issues. I know I bring it up a lot. But yeah, Mario Kart World, I mean, you can wave at the NPCs and honk at them and they don't really do anything besides just like smile or something. So, but yeah, this game definitely has more interaction with its non-playable characters. Salvador states, when you played the demo, did it feel like it was going for more of an open sandbox or more linear like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, or potentially even an open world experience? It's definitely not linear, for sure. I mean, there's definitely some missions that you have to do and stuff, but no, I mean, it feels like you'll move from each sub-layer and each sub-level just one after the next, which is really cool. So it's definitely very similar to Mario Odyssey, an open sandbox. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an open world or anything like that. You can move around in each sub-layer where you want to go, but it's kind of like one of those big floating islands in the sky where eventually you can't move on that much further. So not open world, but definitely open sandbox. Like I said, it just feels like an Odyssey sequel. So if you enjoyed the world and kind of the open sandbox nature of Odyssey, you'll enjoy this game. So if you didn't, I'm sorry. It's just more Odyssey, really, the way it feels at least. The Casserole states, how was the performance and loading times? Also, do you think any Switch 2 quirks like mouse or camera controls will be used in single player? As far as the other quirks, I know you have like the DK builder and the artist thing where you can craft things. Besides that, I don't think it'll be used in anything else. But for the performance and loading times, I already talked about performance. It's kind of, I noticed a couple of drops, nothing significant. It looks really, really good. There's a couple of small little pop-in things with like certain grass. It's, like I said, you really won't notice it unless you're looking for it. It's mostly just the frame rate in certain areas. Like if there's a lot of explosions of boom rock, or like you're deep in an underground cavern and there's a lot of things around you. But for the load times, I mean, I can show you. You'll just see me and my brother in the screen the entire time. But the load times to get from World 1 to World 2 was about 10 seconds. And to get into a bonus world was around 7 seconds. And out of the bonus world was around 5 to 6 seconds. So, I mean, about 5 to 7 seconds, I think, going in and out of bonus worlds each time, which isn't bad. I think it bothered me because this was a demo and I just wanted to keep playing. So I think I felt the weight of it more compared to, you know, how I would feel if I'm just playing. But it's, I mean, I don't know. You decide. Is that something good or bad for you? I can't tell until I actually start playing the game, and if there's a lot of bonus levels and I keep having to wait for the loading screen. But it wasn't too bad. I mean, think about it. Literally, like 5 seconds. 5 seconds isn't bad. Blim Mondale states, are the controls hard to use? Like I said earlier, I kind of touched on them, and I touched on them in my first demo video, but yeah, they're very confusing. I went into the settings real quick. I couldn't tell. It looked like you might be able to remap some buttons, but A is set to jump, which is definitely jarring, and it threw me off a lot. I kept wanting to push B, but it took me like 3 or 4 play sessions to get the hang of the controls, and still, I didn't know how to do half the moves. I think it's just because Donkey Kong's moveset is so expansive. Like, remember the first time you played Odyssey and you didn't know how to do that, like, hat dive, leaving the hat out, jumping off of it and diving again and stuff like that. It's kind of the same thing where like there's so many things you can do. There's even more in this game than Odyssey. So many things you can do with the chunks of ground as well. You can surf on it, you can roll, you can jump off with it and stuff. I mean, there's just so much. You can even spin it around like Mario 64 with Bowser, and like throw it like Mario does with Bowser in that boss battle. So like there's so much things like that I just have to learn, and every button has a purpose. Literally every single button. There's even button combinations that you have to learn when you're pressing 2 buttons at the same time to do specific moves. So that's why it is difficult. There's just so much to it, and I had to get used to that jump as well and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely not user-friendly at first. You have to play a lot of it to understand, because you just get thrown into this thing, and it thankfully doesn't hold your hand with it. It kind of just gives you quick little overview, you know, tips of how to control things. But man, I was confused at first for sure. Reich asked, do you think digging in the ground will be a bigger part of the game than exploring on the surface? Not necessarily. The surface has tons of challenges for you to do as well. There's just a lot of stuff that's also hidden underground. Like, to be completely honest with you, I can see the way I'm probably going to tackle this is doing everything on the surface of each sublayer and then moving into the underground portion of that specific sublayer and looking for that. So like kind of separating it between above ground and underground. And yeah, there's tons of stuff down there. Like, I even found like little bonus and challenge rooms that were underneath the ground as well. So you're definitely going to want to dig eventually after you clear off the surface. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was hoping it wasn't just like empty, you know, tombs down there, all, you know, the depths from Breath of the Wild, you know what I mean? But no, there's a lot of things to find. Treasure and different like secret tunnels down there that actually lead to important things. So yeah, you're going to want to dig and you'll find some fun reason why. But it just also probably means you're going to be spending a lot of time on each sublayer, which is good because that's more gameplay time. Mario Whacker asks, is the movement a little hard to get used to? Absolutely not. I mean, if you're familiar with Mario Odyssey and the rolls and dives and stuff, I mean, it's going to be very similar. I mean, you'll quickly learn how to roll and even roll jump off things. And as you can see, this is only like my second and third time blasting through the beginning of the demo. It's very quick to get used to, and I feel like speedrunning is going to be a blast. It feels smooth, it feels easy to control and move them around. It's just mostly the controls that you have to learn, all the different abilities and stuff. But besides that, just rolling, jumping, and running, I mean, it feels as smooth as possible. You'll love the movement. Oh, the Places asks, were there any issues with the camera while digging? I actually feel like I didn't dig enough. I think my first time I dug a lot, but I didn't record it. I definitely remember it. Yes and no. I mean, I feel like there were a lot of times where the camera did get stuck behind me and I couldn't necessarily see what I was doing. I think that's the biggest problem is when you're digging through one single tunnel that you're making through something, you don't have a lot of camera room, period. Like, it's not even like the camera's not working. It's just like, you're just like, the camera's zoomed into the back of Donkey Kong's head and you're just punching through rock and you have no clue where you're going. You could definitely probably just pull the map up to see where you are, but I feel like it was just kind of like blind digging until finally I reached a cave or a cavern down there and where I could drop down. So yeah, there was a lot of blind digging. Maybe I just need more time to spend with it, but from what I played, it did seem like a lot of the times I was just digging and praying. Listen to Kron states, does the Kong Bonanza power-up feel different than normal DK? And is it good? Not really different. It's just big Donkey Kong at the end of the day. It still has the same moves. He can charge up a powerful punch, but besides that, you know, nothing else. Think of it as like his neutral B from Smash Brothers, but you can run around as you charge it up as well. Yeah, it's Donkey Kong. It doesn't mean it was bad or anything, especially for digging. You can just like seriously just bust through entire mountainsides without even having to worry about digging. So it is definitely useful for that. But yeah, it's just big, strong Donkey Kong. I can see it just being overpowered though, just because you can punch through most and almost every single structure and enemy. Egg Guy states, does it take a while for multiplayer to unlock, or is it in the first like 5 minutes? Well, I actually didn't try it. I don't know why. I even had my brother with me. I didn't even try multiplayer, but I assume it would work because Pauline is there, but I assume you would also get this power up once you get to that World 2 area, that, you know, that main world that we've seen gameplay of. Once you reach the Elder, he'll probably grant that ability because we actually see in the trailer that the Elder is playing some song, and that Donkey Kong's like pounding his chest to break the, you know, Odd Rock curse, and then Pauline jumps out. So probably once you meet the Elders, so within probably an hour or so of gameplay, you'll finally actually get that ability. A McCrae states, are there too many bananas everywhere like Odyssey? Yes, there's a lot of bananas. Trust me, there's Bananium gems everywhere you look. You just have to figure out how to get to them and how they actually work. There's some that are just laying around like on the side of mountains that you have to dig and pull out, but I will say it feels like an improved system from Odyssey. A lot of them do require you to do challenges. There feels like there's a lot more bonus rooms in this game compared to Odyssey, meaning more platforming challenges. And yes, it just feels like a lot of those Bananium gems you have to dig and actually find. It's not just like ground pounding a ground in order for one to pop up. So it is like Odyssey in the sense of there are a lot to find. Some of them are a little easier and just kind of laying about or dug into the side of a mountain that you had to find out how to reach. But there are a lot of them that are also well hidden. So yes and no. Zach Pro states, is Meiku playable? No, she's not. Natinator states, was the photo mode available? If so, how many options are there? Yes, you could do the photo mode. I believe most of the options were there. I can't remember exactly, but I remember being able to access the photo mode for sure. So yeah, it's there if you want to use it in the demo. I recommend just playing the game because there's so much more fun things to do than using a photo mode in a 15-minute demo. Mario states, does Pauline's voice sound weird in game? I was a little iffy with the voice acting from her within that direct. I mean, like, this was just, it came off so corny.
The planet core? But no! I'm going with DK, so you just stay away!
But I didn't notice anything too bad within the actual gameplay. In fact, I actually chuckled a couple times. Like when you drop into a bonus room, sometimes it scares her and she'll actually yell out and shriek, and it actually made my brother and I laugh when we heard it. And last but not least, Timberwolf asks, is it really inconvenient to use A as jump instead of using B? Because I'm used to using B. It's not inconvenient, like it's not to the point where I'm like, dude, this is gonna just be so awkward and weird. It just, I gotta get used to it, simple as that. And once I get used to it, I think it'll be perfectly fine. And that's all your questions answered about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, we're trying to reach 400,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and only you can make that happen. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See you guys.